Hi, and welcome to another edition of OnsideSA, and it's getting closer and closer to when the EPL, the league, starts again. We'll be speaking to Stevie B, our correspondent in London. Budge, some topics to talk about. The transfer market seems to be the big thing at the moment.
Yeah, Paul, a lot of talk in the newspapers, but not many signings, So one was done last night, a big one.
Who was that?
Raheem Sterling. So Steve will update us on that.
Was he gone to Chelsea?
He's gone to Chelsea, 45 million, according to the reports. But
good player.
Yeah, I think he's an addition.
Scores for his country, good player.
What
about his mate Jesus?
He's gone to Arsenal.
Has Jesus gone to Arsenal?
Yeah, Paul, you never know the newspapers, but should we get hold of Steve? He'll update us.
Yeah. Let's see if we can get Stevie B on the line in the UK.
Steve, are you there?
I'm here. Good morning, guys.
All right,
morning,
Steve, update, please. Sterling, did that go through last night?
It hasn't physically signed, but he's agreed terms, and I think Chelsea have agreed terms with City. So I expect that to go through, in the next day or so. But it looks like it's done, and it's a good buy for Chelsea. 45 million, as you say, for an current England international who scores goals. I think that's
good buy there.
Good buy for them.
Yeah, good buy from Man City as well. Yeah. I was just having a look at the Champions League because everyone's screaming about Calvin Phillips. You have to have 8, I think it's homegrown players in your squad. Where Sterling goes, that's 7 that Man City have got.
Must be another one lurking.
So they'll have to include another youngster. But I think a very good signing for Chelsea.
So do I.
Steve
Rafinha.
They've
got players they can bring through.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, it's very interesting because we thought a Premier League team was going to come in for him, and there's obviously, but Barcelona seem to be very keen still. So I think he'll go. I can't see him staying at Leeds, and Leeds are going out and signing a number of players at the moment. So I think they've obviously assumed that Rafinha will go, and they're going to be counting on getting that money to use.
Jeez, they're going to have to.
No, they're going to have to. Yeah.
So they've lost the midfielder.
They lost Calvin Phillips and
Rafinha.
And Rafinha. I think that German could go too. The centre half, that defensive player. I think he's a good player, but you never know who's going to come in for him. Steve, with all the paparazzi and all the garbage being spoken, what's the latest on Cristiano Ronaldo?
Well, United seems to have made it clear that they don't, he's not for sale. But ultimately, you can't keep a player who really wants to go.
Yeah.
Look, whether he was naive and thought that by coming they're going to automatically win something or go in the Champions League. It hasn't quite worked out. It's fine, but he's won so much. You just think, is it that important to him that he plays in the Champions League? Because unless he goes to one of the top few teams, he might go to someone who's not going to win it anyway. So it depends whether or not he's happy in living near Manchester or not. So I can't see him going to another Premiership rival. They're saying Chelsea are sniffing around. I think that would certainly hurt his brand and credibility in the UK if he just moves within the now. But how many big teams are there that can either afford him or would want him?
Yeah. Steve, do you think the reason he wants to move is the Champions League put him in a position where he's not going to compete in that, and Messi will get more goals? Do you think it's something like that?
Listen, we don't really know what his motivation is at the moment. I mean, it isn't money. Obviously, he doesn't need to kick a ball again the rest of his life. He's got a growing family. It depends where he wants to settle as well. So, who knows? I mean, he could turn around and, I don't think he would. He could say he wants to go back to the club of his boyhood, Sporting Lisbon, somebody, or, we just don't know. I mean, it is unsettling because obviously for United, if they want him to stay, and if Ten Hag wants him to stay, then they're struggling to bring decent players in at the moment. If they lose Ronaldo, they might find it harder to attract as well.
Yeah, for me, I'd cut our losses. He's been a great servant to the club. He doesn't want to be there. I think he doesn't want Messi to overtake him in the Champions League, the top goal scorer. But I can understand why he wants to leave. He's only got a couple of seasons left at the highest level. So if I was him, but he's got a problem. Unless he takes a major cut, nobody can afford him.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, you never know. Hopefully United can get 1 or 2 over the line, and you never know. Maybe he'll change his mind. But to me, I think let's rather let him go. Good luck. Otherwise, that heroism that he had, that status, I think is going to plummet.
Yeah.
I saw James Tarkowski sign for Everton last week, Steve. I think that's an excellent signing for Everton.
Yeah, I mean, he made it clear he wanted to stay in the Northwest.
Okay.
It's a good move for him. Obviously, he wasn't going to stay at Burnley. Contract was up, and so a very good move for. I think he's the sort of player that we would have loved to have had at Fulham, but experienced, knows his way around the defence, and I think he's probably quite a key signing for Everton.
Yeah. Paul, Tottenham, we've got quite a following in this country.
Yeah.
I see Bergwijn, has he gone to Ajax?
Yes, he's going. I just looked at the latest. I just heard something in my ear.
Yeah, I know. Just about
I don't know what's bad.
I understand Ajax have agreed a fee with Tottenham of about 25 million for him.
Yeah, I know Cameron Carton-Vickers has moved to Celtic permanently.
Okay.
They've got all those boys back at training and brought them in early because they're going off on a tour, so they're all training hard. But, you've still got Ndombele, Brian Gill, Lo Celso. They got to go.
Yeah.
No one's jumping to take them. We're looking to get a couple more in. They keep talking about this guy. I don't know. Is it Spence?
Yeah, the young fullback from Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
He was at Forest last year, but
Steve,
you've watched more of him than I have, but he doesn't look bad. But he's only a youngster.
Yeah, I mean, he was a Fulham Academy boy, and he left. I mean, we've done that. We've had a few good academy boys that have gone, and we didn't get anything for him. So technically he's a Middlesbrough player.
Yes.
And surprisingly, they loaned him out for Forest, and he had a great season for Forest. And now they're saying Tottenham are in for him. Looks like Middlesbrough wants about 20 million. So
but there's another boy.
There, and another good young player. So again, we said it last couple of weeks. Tottenham obviously wanted to do their business early, and sort of get Conte will have the squad pretty much how he wants it.
Yeah. They're trying to go buy now. Memphis Depay, what's his name?
Memphis Depay.
Yeah.
From Barca.
Yeah, they're trying to bring him in. Bring him in for Bergwijn. I wouldn't know. I'm just looking at Memphis Depay.
Yeah. You've got 3 forwards. How many more do you need?
Well, we've got at least 3 forwards.
Yeah, and the Swede as well.
We got so many. 25 million for Bergwijn to go off to Ajax. Okay. It was agreed. It was definitely agreed. But there's a couple. There's one very good player. I can't think of his name at the moment that they're after.
Okay, well, Lenglet, the centre half from Barcelona, aren't they trying to get him on loan?
Yeah. There is. I can't think of the other guy or fan, but
at least you're making signings. There's more than Man United.
We made four. But, so that's the latest. Tottenham Millwall going on pre-season to, I think, South Korea.
Okay, Son's hometown.
And a big squad.
Steve, your Fulham boys, I saw you sign a young Portuguese player. How many more do you think you need?
Yeah.
11?
Oh, yeah, listen, I think that we're in the market for about another 4 or 5 at least.
Okay.
We've let a few go. I think beforehand everyone was saying we need about 5 or 6 new good quality signings. So hopefully this is the first of a number. There's a few in the pipeline. We've got a couple having medicals, I understand, if they haven't already. One of whom is Andreas Pereira.
Yeah, Man United Brazilian, yeah.
Fulham have agreed a fee with United of about between 8 and 10 million.
Yeah.
So he's been playing in Brazil for the last year.
Couple of years, yeah.
Who's that?
So Andreas Pereira.
Yeah, he was a good youngster. He just never cracked the nod, and Mourinho didn't like him, and Oli obviously didn't like him as well. So they went on loan. Rojo went to Boca Juniors, and I think he went to, it wasn't Flamengo, it was one of the Sao Paulo teams. And but he's not the worst player, Steve. But unfortunately, at the highest level, he didn't get too many chances. Yeah.
So it'd be interesting that again, it's another Portuguese-speaking player that we're bringing. If he's better than some of the players we've got, then I think people are quite happy with it. So
I agree.
If we are getting, and he will, I think it'll be announced in the next 24 hours. He brought the international winger Anna Solomon, who's at Shakhtar Donetsk, and he's going to be joining us by the weekend, I understand. So, things are starting to happen. But, a lot of the clubs, apart from Tottenham maybe, haven't made much in the way of signing. So, we've still got a few weeks to go yet.
Yeah, no doubt. Steve, on to the MLS. The big game we'll discuss shortly is Gareth Bale's debut for Los Angeles against the LA Galaxy. But the first game up when we get the betting odds up is Philadelphia against DC United. You know, before they come up, Philadelphia 7-10. I think it's a bit short. They've drawn 8 of the last 11. They've drawn 4 of the last 5 at home. But DC United aren't the greatest. They've only won 1 of the last 7. Is 7-10 worth taking, Steve?
That was the... look, Philadelphia, as you say, I mean, you know, they're sitting second in the Eastern Conference, but they lost last week, which is a bit of a surprise. But they're a hard team to beat. DC United are sitting 2 from bottom, but they had a big win during the week. They won 5-3.
They beat Orlando,
into Miami. That was Orlando 5-3, and Orlando have been fairly decent at home. So you know, it's hard to call. I think that Philadelphia should be too strong. They don't concede many goals. Philadelphia. That's the one plus in their favour. So I think 7-10 might be a bit short, but I think Philadelphia should start as favourites.
Yeah, okay. Now the big game we'll have it on. Well, it's on ESPN here. Los Angeles with Chiellini and Gareth Bale expected to start against the LA Galaxy team who won comfortable in midweek. And they actually beat them a few weeks ago in the Cup. LA Galaxy beat them 3-1 in the Cup. Los Angeles, all the hype.
Well, I mean, I think if they do both start or come on, you know, I think that'll sort of G the crowd up. It's obviously a big derby. As you say, Galaxy had big against Montreal 4-0 the other day, which, you know, considering Montreal are sitting third in the Eastern Conference, was a little bit of a surprise. It's easy. And Chicharito scored a goal.
Yeah.
He's been drawing blanks a bit recently. I think LA will start as favourites. You know, again, it is a derby. I can't see Galaxy winning, but they could hold them. You know, but I think it's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah, I think there'll be plenty of bookings.
Bale at Galaxy?
Yeah. No, Bale's at Los Angeles.
Oh, Los Angeles.
Chicharito's at LA Galaxy.
Yeah.
Now, the funny team who I can't get my head around is Vancouver. They beat Los Angeles last week. Away from home, they're garbage. I've watched Minnesota's last 2 games. They were 3-2 up against the Galaxy and held on, and Real Salt Lake and held on. One thing is certain, there'll be plenty of goals. I fancy the home team, Steve. How do you see it?
Yeah, so I think you're right. I think the team here, you know, I think it'll be close. I mean, they're both sitting on 24 points. You know, Vancouver had a bad start. They sort of picked up a little bit. I think the home team for me.
Yeah, 15-10. That's my best value bet of the weekend. Now, New York City, who cost us money last week, since Ronnie Darla, the ex-Celtic boss, resigned, they've been woeful. They've only won 1 of the last 5. They haven't won in the last 4. Against New England, who unbeaten in 10, Steve. This has got upset written all over it. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, the odds look a little bit too much in favour of New York, but I think New England could hold them. You know, as you say, they're a hard team to beat. New York City has sort of stumbled a bit, so I wouldn't be at all surprised if New England hold them.
Yeah, nothing worse. You've got to bet 89th minute the team that you've backed concede, but you know, trouble in the camp at New York City. Now, Portland. Seattle won 6 of the last 8. They were on in midweek where they won 2-0 away from home. Portland unbeaten in the last 4. There will be goals. You fancy the home team?
Yeah, I do. This is a bit of a derby.
Yeah.
In the past, both these teams have done very well. You know, they're both having a more difficult season than I think people would have expected. But I fancy Seattle at home to win that.
Yeah, Seattle were involved in their CONCACAF Champions League, which they ended up winning. So they had a late start and the players were a bit tired, according to reports. But there'll be plenty of goals in that. On to our second page, we're Atlanta. Steve, I watched them beat Inter Miami. Now, of all the pictures in America, this looks like a tennis court. But, you know, they're playing a decent team in Austin. I think they've got the best away record. Likewise, I think the odds are all wrong here. How do you see it?
Yeah, no, I agree. Austin have had a couple of good away wins in the last week or so. I fancy them. You know, I mean, Atlanta are not a bad side, but I think you look at the odds look a bit skewed to me. I would make Austin favourites.
Yeah, I just couldn't believe that pitch that they were playing on looked terrible. But anyway, I just said Austin, 6 wins of the last 8 away from home. Big shot. Now, Charlotte against Nashville, Steve. I'm on the away side here. How do you see it?
Yeah, Nashville were having a decent season.
Yeah.
I don't think people expected them to do as well as they have. So, I think I agree with you. I think Nashville could do well there.
Yeah, only one defeat in the last 7. They won the last 2 away from home. Now, the New York Red Bulls, I think they'll represent the Eastern Conference in the final. I saw them get beat by LA Galaxy. They had plenty of chances. Big boys at the back, don't take any prisoners. Cincinnati are in and out, Steve. I don't see New York Red Bulls getting beat. What's your call?
No, I agree. I mean, they're sitting top at the moment. New York Red Bulls have overtaken Philadelphia in the last week or two. Cincinnati again having a decent season. Yeah. But as you say, they're very inconsistent. Win one week, lose the next. But I think if there was to be a winner, I'd probably plump for the Red Bulls.
Yeah. Now, Montreal, Sporting Kansas City, of what I've seen and read, Sporting Kansas City are the worst team in the MLS.
Are they?
If that's the case, they're bottom of the 8 to 10. Montreal looks a good thing, Steve.
Yeah. I think so. I think they're going to want to bounce back after that big defeat at Galaxy the other night.
Yeah.
Again, they're still sitting third in the Eastern Conference. I think Montreal will be too strong.
Yeah, I actually watched the second part of it because it was woke up 5:30. They had plenty of chances, but at the back they just conceded too easily.
Yeah.
But I think Montreal will win. Toronto versus San Jose, Steve. What's your call?
Yeah, I think Toronto. I think will be a little bit strong.
Yeah, they've been in and out, but San Jose, 2 points in the last 8 away league games. I think they've got the second worst away record. So I've got to agree. I think 12 to 10 is a great price, Steve, on to the final few games. We've got Chicago at home against Columbus Crew. Chicago, how do you see it?
Well, again, I mean, up until a couple of weeks ago, Chicago were rock bottom and adrift a little bit. They had a big win the other week. But Columbus, again, one of those teams sitting in just below the middle of the table. They don't lose many, but again, they draw more than they've won. I think Chicago might be just be a little bit too strong at home.
Yeah, I agree. They won the last 2 at home, so this should be 3 in a row. Orlando City versus Inter Miami. I saw them the other day. They drew 1-1 away from home into Miami. They've only lost 1 of the last 7 away from home. They've drawn their last couple. I think this is the upset of the weekend, Steve. Do you agree with me?
Well, I mean, Orlando had a really poor result, conceding 5 at home to DC the other night. Yeah. So whether or not it's more of the same, or they're going to bounce back, and again, this is a little bit of a derby, isn't it? Sort of Florida derby. So it's a hard one to call. I mean, I think obviously the bookies are going to make Orlando favourites, but I think it's Miami, as you say, a hard team to beat. I wouldn't be surprised if they get something there. Yeah,
I think they'll avoid defeat. Now, Houston against Dallas, another derby. I think 14 to 10, Houston's a little bit short, but they signed the Mexican in midweek, Hector Herrera. I think he was at Atletico Madrid as their designated player. Dallas have let me down too often, but I think another game, the draw written all over it. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, I think Dallas, not having a bad season, I mean, they're sitting in the top 5. I think they probably do enough to avoid defeat. Whether or not they could win there, I don't know. So I think if I was to plump for a winner, I'd go for Dallas. But a draw could be favourite.
All right, Steve. Now my best bet of the weekend comes up. Real Salt Lake at home against Colorado. They've 6 wins, 2 draws at home against a team with the worst away record. Murphy's Law, they'll more than likely hang on for a draw. Do you think 9 to 10, Steve? Good bet.
Yeah, definitely. I make them sort of odds-on favourites. Real Salt Lake, I would think that they should be too strong. I mean, Colorado, as you say, not got a particularly good record, particularly away from home. They're sitting 2 off the bottom. Yeah. I think Real Salt Lake by at least a goal there.
Yeah, let's hope so. Steve, on to Sweden. I know the Champions League has started. First game up we've got is Malmo. They are 1-3, but they were fortunate in midweek. Us following the game, they beat the Icelandic team Vikingur Reykjavik. Reykjavik had a player sent off in the first half, and Molde won 3-2. Obviously the second leg is next week, but isn't 1-3 a bit short?
Well, I mean, last week they were clear odds-on favourites to win away from home and came unstuck against one of the lowest ranked teams. I think they should win Malmo. I think whether or not people just sort of remember them as being one of the top Swedish teams and I mean, they're not having the best season. They're sitting in the top 5, but they've lost 3 of the last 5.
Yeah.
I think they'll win, but I'm not sure they just to be quite as short as that.
Yeah, so even money, both teams to score was a gift, especially as they'll rest key players for the second leg. Now, Degerfors against Norrköping. Steve, I like Norrköping. Even money is a little bit short. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, Degerfors are having a bad season. They've lost 3 of the last 4. I mean, as you say, Norrköping, they haven't won in 4. So I think evens is probably a little bit short, I would have thought.
Yeah.
Away from home against, but Wars are really having a bad season. They're only just off the bottom.
Yeah, that's true. And the team that's bottom of the league have only got a couple of points. Steve, the big game over the weekend, or the two, Elfsborg against ARK. ARK cost us last week. Elfsborg going well, 4 wins and a draw at home. You see them causing an upset against the third-rated team?
They're short on the bidding.
ARK came unstuck last week. They've only won 1 in 5.
Yeah.
They're not an easy team to beat, but they've fallen away. They were top or second a couple of weeks or so ago. They've just slipped down a bit. I think you could be right. I think it's either a home win or possibly a draw there.
Yeah, I don't see Elfsborg losing at home. Now, top of the league, BK Häcken, Trevor Turm, Jolby, who are unbeaten in the last 6 at home. This will be a tight game. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, Häcken let us down last week. We thought they were going to be odds on to win, and they performed their last 2, but they're still sitting top of the table.
Yeah.
And you say, but Mjällby won their last game, but haven't only won 1 in 5. I think Häcken should still start as favourites for me.
Yeah, very difficult, especially when you can't watch them. So we've got to look at stats and read reports. But BK Häcken, top of the league, unbeaten in 8. Hard to see them getting beat. Steve, on to the second page that we've got here. We've got Kalmar 7 at 10, won the last 3 at home against a serious team in good form. But I fancy Kalmar, even though the odds are a little bit short. I think 7 at 10. I think they'll win. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, they drew last week, and they were my best bet to win.
Yeah.
They got held by Helsingborg. I think they should win. I think they should be a little bit too strong at home.
Yeah, it's amazing how the home form, especially with supporters now, seems to help the home team. Now, Hammarby, only won 1 of the last 7, but at home they're unbeaten in 6. 6 to 10 is a bit short, especially against a team that won 3 of the last 5. How do you see it going, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, Hammarby should start as favourites, but as you say, they're still sitting in 4th, but they're not having a particularly good run. I think they should start, but not as clear favourites. I think they're just about edge it.
Yeah. Now Helsingborg have got 2 points from, I think it's their 15 or 16 league games at home against Djurgårdens.
No chance.
Djurgårdens second place. Surely that's a gift.
Yeah, I mean, Helsingborg obviously surprised everybody and picked up a point last week. But Djurgården should be too strong. They won their last 3. They're sitting second in the table. So I think they start as clear favourites.
Yeah, I think it's even money, both teams to score. So that'll have my money. And last but not least, IFK Vanano against GIF Sundsvall. 2 struggling teams. Steve, how do you see it?
Yeah. Sundsvall, they won though last week.
Yeah.
So I think probably a home win, but I think it would be quite tight.
Yeah, I think the betting's guided by Sundsvall, lost the last 5 away from home. So on that assumption, it should be IFK Vanano, but 2 poor teams. The draw's obviously a player. Steve, pressure time again. I need your best bet and value bet, please.
Yeah. I'm going to go for Seattle as my best bet this week.
Okay.
I was torn between them and Real Salt Lake, but I think you've gone for Real Salt Lake.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
How did you boys go last week?
I'm going to go.
Steve, did you get it right last week?
No, his team conceded late.
Raise your game, Steve. Raise your game.
Yeah. So I'm going to go for Austin as my value bet.
Yeah, I went Vancouver. I thought 15 to 10 was a big price, but Austin, you're right, Steve.
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas.
There's a few Texas teams there.
No panic at all. Steve, enjoy watching the ladies' soccer. See England got off to a good start.
Yeah, it was a scrappy game, but they the opening games often are, but they won, and that's all they need to do is get through the group.
Yeah.
So Austria weren't going to be easy. Norway is probably the tough one.
Yeah.
If they get through that, then they should beat Northern Ireland and win the group.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. I mean, as I say, it's getting a lot of coverage on primetime TV. So I think the BBC are televising every single game.
Oh, that's good.
Well done, Steve. You can watch that. I'll watch hurling in Cairo.
Yeah. Now, I must say, bar the goalkeepers, I think the women's soccer's improved dramatically. There was so many
From
kids there, it
0
was
to
frightening.
12%.
What were they charging to go in, Steve? Do you know?
I think the ticket prices have been kept low because to encourage crowds, and they had a crowd of just under 70,000. It's a record by over 25,000 since the largest ever European game. So it's I think it made sense. And he looked at the crowd last night. Huge numbers of children there as well.
Yeah.
So they obviously want to encourage people to go, and why not? The weather's nice. There's no other football to watch, so why not?
Steve, the 2007 Rugby World Cup in France, the French did that. They made the tickets for the group games cheap, and every game was sold out.
No alcoholic beer in the stadium. Those bloody frogs.
No beer in the stadium. But what's funny, I shouldn't say funny, 70,000 Old Trafford, the way Man United are going, I think there'll be more than once watching Man United.
Yeah, the record will stand this year.
All
right, Stevie.
Steve,
Everything
thank you
of the
very
best.
much. Speak to you over the weekend.
Pleasure.
All the best.
Thanks,
Take care.
Steve.
Bye.
Cheers. Right, Butch, let's move on again.
exotics,
Soccer pools.
Yep.
Not easy.
Not easy, Paul. But, the guys have just got to put what we know, so we crack on. Paul, the first game, Soccer 6, obviously it's Saturday this weekend. I'm going Norrköping to avoid defeat at Degerfors. I'm going Stromgeds, Godset, win and draw at home against Oddball Club. I don't see New York City, New England. I don't see New York City losing at home. I've thrown the draw in, especially after they cost us last week. Boca Juniors win and draw at San Lorenzo. I'm chancing RB Bragantino to be too strong at home for Ravai. And Craig Banfield win and draw at home against CA Union, who got knocked out in the Copa during the week, 192. On to our second Soccer 6, the MLS one. I'm going Seattle, win and draw against Portland. I'm going Nashville to avoid defeat at Charlotte. I don't see the New York Red Bulls losing in Cincinnati. I'm backing Chicago Fire to be too strong for Columbus Crew, and ending with 2 away win and draws into Miami at Orlando City and FC Dallas at the Houston Dynamo, 192.
Well done.
On to the Soccer 10, I'm going Seattle Sounders, win and draw against Portland Timbers. I've gone the field in the Atlanta Austin FC. I've gone Nashville, win and draw at Charlotte. New York Red Bulls to avoid defeat at Cincinnati. I'm bankering the Montreal Impact to beat Sporting Kansas City. Onto the second page, I think Toronto will beat the San Jose Earthquakes and Chicago Fire will be too strong for the Columbus Crew. I'm going into Miami, win and draw in Orlando. I'm going the field in the Houston Dynamo FC Dallas fixture and ending up with Real Salt Lake to beat Colorado Rapids 288. Onto the Soccer 13, which is a licorice all sort one. I'm going the Netherlands woman, win and draw against the Swedish woman. I'm going, this is the European women's European Championship. I'm chancing the Switzerland woman to be too good for the Portuguese woman. I think Norrköping will beat Degerfors. Bodo Glimt will beat Sarpsborg. I'm going Stromgodset, win and draw against Oddsball Club. I think Haka will avoid defeat at HIFK Helsinki. And I'm chancing VPS Vaasa to be too strong at home against IFK Mariehamn. On to the second page. I'm going New York City, win and draw against the New England Revolution. I've gone Elfsborg to avoid defeat at home against ARK. I don't see Häcken losing at home against Mjolby. I'm bankering Kalmar to beat RK Sirius. Jönköping Södra to beat Östersunds. And ending with Östers IF, win and draw at Utsikten 256. On to our Budgies bets for the weekend.
Budgies bets.
I'm going Toronto to beat San Jose and Real Salt Lake to beat Colorado. And into Miami against Orlando City. And Vancouver Whitecaps at home against Minnesota to win or draw 2,000 to 200. On to our Swedish treble. I'm going Hammarby to beat IFK Gothenburg and both teams to score. And both teams to score in the Malmo Varbergs Bois. And Helsingborg Djurgårdens 2,500 to 200. On to our team goals. I'm going into Miami. Montreal, Seattle and Vancouver, all to score over 1.5 goals, 17 to 1, 3,400 to 200. And our over 2.5 goals, both teams to score sides are Los Angeles, LA Galaxy, New York City, New England, Seattle, Portland, and Vancouver, Minnesota, 2,100 to 200. On to Brazil, where we've got a nice treble. I'm going Coritiba to beat Juventude, Fluminense to beat Ceará, and Internacional to win, and both teams to score against América Mineiro, 2,500 to 200. And our Colas King, 6 or Nixa. I'm going Real Salt Lake to beat Colorado, Toronto to beat San Jose, Hammarby to beat IFK Gothenburg, Rosenborg to beat Jerv, Coritiba to beat Juventude, and Internacional to beat América Mineiro. 5,800 to 200. Plenty of value there, Paul.
Yeah, plenty of value. Sounds very good, Budge. And
I've got to try, Paul.
Of course, it's very difficult going to Swedish leagues and American leagues and women's leagues. And Steve can watch his women's league. You know,
I'll be watching it, Paul, because there is money. You believe it? There's money in those leagues, Paul. The good teams.
The women's
win.
leagues.
Yeah.
What do you mean? There's money,
Paul? The good teams win like good
I see.
teams.
Gambling money.
Yeah, gambling money. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Steve, before we go, Budge, it's roughly a month to the EPL.
Yeah, Paul, last one standing. We've got 2 guys going in the first league. Alan Costa and Gary Sutter, and they'll have the first week to themselves. Then the second week.
Why don't you go straight into it?
Well,
Budge?
Paul, let everybody see the first week, and we'll start middle of
that's
the
how we
month.
knock people out, Budge. We've got to knock people out.
Give them a chance, Paul. Give them a chance. So,
no chance.
Second week, we'll start, and
we've got to get back
on
onto that. We've got to get back rolling with the.
Well, we'll only have one anyway because the middle of November it stops. For the World Cup. So.
Yeah, so that's why we shouldn't give them a week, Budge. I say go in there and get Chelsea get beat by Burnley again, things like that on the first week. But anyway, bear that in mind. Last one standing is going to start, and that's always a lot of fun and bragging rights. Until next time, stay on side.